And so I'd like to call to order at 7:02 p.m.
All right.
Looks like we don't have any members of the public. So I'm going to actually add an item before we even talk about elections, because I am very happy to introduce you all, if you haven't read her already, Han Leon, who has worked with me in April on the APA, hi, Officer Rando, um, for the last few years. And she's been just a tremendous volunteer. And she decided that she would join us officially. So I want to welcome her and give her a chance to tell us a little bit about herself, and then we'll introduce ourselves. So, Han, would you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Hun Leon. I've been living in Wakefield since, let me think now, probably like 10 years. And I have a 16-year-old daughter who's a junior in high school at Wakefield High School. And I've actually been thinking about, okay, now that my daughter's like kind of more independent, off on her own, she'll be going to college soon. I'm like, okay, I need to start being a little bit more involved in the community and involved in like other activities for myself. And so when Sherry mentioned how there were HRC openings, I was like, that's an opportunity for me to be more involved in Wakefield. And so I submitted my application and here I am.
And when you're not volunteering, which we're really excited about, what is your work?
So I work as a director of data analytics and underwriting at Sun Life, the company based out of Canada, actually, and they have a location in Wellesley that I go to. We are more of a hybrid work environment, so I go into the office nicely once a week now. So, and most of the time I'm home. And yeah, keeps me busy though. And the nice thing is because it is data analytics and underwriting, it does also keep my mind occupied, which is nice. So I get to do a lot of like interesting things.
Okay. Okay. Jill, will you briefly introduce yourself, since I don't think Han has met you yet? Or we
Yes,
actually,
Maybe
she
we
we have
have,
met her at the
yeah.
meetings, but I don't think she's had
yeah,
a chance to really know anything about you.
yeah. I'm Jill Diamond. I've been living in Wakefield with my family for about 9 years. I've got two kids at the Dull Bear, a first grader and a third grader. And then I am a program manager and consultant for MGH Aspire, which is a group that provides services, autism services.
Okay, Jess.
I don't think I realized you were with Aspire, Jill. Um, I, um, for gross motor stuff, my daughter worked with Aspire in Salem for early intervention.
Yeah, that one is different. MGH Aspire is
Okay.
yeah, we're a bit different, but there's like two or three Aspires around, which is interesting.
It's very
Yeah.
good to be aspirational.
Yeah.
I have been in Wakefield now for 2 years. I'm Jess Sudich. That's how you pronounce my last name. It is, I've got a 3.5-year-old. She'll be 4 in October. She is at Odyssey right now, but will be at Greenwood when one day she'll be at Greenwood. She's a late birthday, so we're waiting for school to become public. Um, but yeah, so my wife and I are getting assimilated, have been getting assimilated into Wakefield. We moved all over after living in Somerville for a while and then came back to the Boston area. So yeah, oh, and I work in video games for
Fun.
a company out of Paris. And I work completely remotely. So yeah, so this is you guys are like my social lifeline. My camera is also a little glitchy. I'm trying to get it to work. But if I flash on and off, please just ignore it, and it's just me doing technical stuff.
I want to say that Jill and Jess are returning commissioners. And Vanessa is our student commissioner, and she's graduating and she's going to be gone soon. But we're going to be doing some nice things next week on Tuesday, not next week, Tuesday the 20th. Yes, it is actually Tuesday the 27th is the senior, or the 28th is the senior awards night. And I'm going to be there because I have a presentation to make for Vanessa, who has been, even before she was officially a voting member, a fantastic volunteer. She's just been terrific. And I hope whoever comes after you has learned from you. That would be wonderful for us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I've lived in Wakefield for now 22 years. I can't believe it. Because the first 16, all we did was remodel our house. And then I started getting really involved the last couple of years. I've always been very involved with the library. I was involved with the Friends for 16 years, but I wanted to be more involved in things that had to do with the town. And I reached out to people like Maureen to make my decision. And HRC came to the top. And then when I retired in December of 2022, I said, oh, I'll do another commission. So I applied for the Council on Aging, and I do that as well. In my prior life, I had a small business that managed nonprofit groups, which means I planned and ran membership-based organizations, their publications, their programming, their websites, their activities, their trade shows for a very long time. And that's why when you see me like seemingly running around like I know what I'm doing, it's because I did it for like 40 years before this. Uh, and I love that kind of work. And I love Wakefield. And one of the reasons I love Wakefield is because we have people like Maureen Butt, our town councilor. And Maureen, are you going to continue being our representative for the town council, or is there someone new coming in?
We don't know yet. So our next meeting is on the 10th, and I think we've put in our requests for liaisons. I've been HRC liaison for the last couple of years. So we'll see if any of the new people feel like taking it over.
And if it turns out that someone else does, I hope you'll still be involved because your input has been invaluable.
Yeah, no, I love this group. I will always be involved whether I'm a liaison or not. And I'm so excited to see. That's why I came today. I'm so excited to see what you do. Is it Hayun? I missed how you said your first name. So.
Hun Leon.
Hun, sorry. Hun, so nice to meet you. So excited to appoint you to this commission. As Sherry said, I'm the town councilor, I'm the liaison to this group. I love and adore everything this group does. Really excited to join you guys. Jess, I found out that your mom is part of the book club that I and Sherry belong to, which I didn't make that connection, but I was at the library yesterday. So when I moved to town, one of the first groups I joined was the book club, and was at the library yesterday, and the librarian mentioned.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know who all is in this book club, but it's a veritable list of people to know in Wakefield.
Well, we read really good books. That's the fun part of it. But and the library's great, and HRC is great, and so excited for you to join us. So excited about the programs you have coming up. And Vanessa, I can't believe you're graduating. I feel like I met you through your sister years ago, and I can't believe you are moving on. And really, I don't know about that event, Sherry. So thanks for sharing that. But definitely all the accolades of all that you have helped this group do in the last couple of years and other groups in town. You've been a superstar volunteer.
Yeah, it's 6:30 Tuesday night at the Galvin. And I also want to introduce Officer Amy Rando, who has been part of this particular organization since the very, very beginning. And she is very present and very helpful with us. So, Hun, meet Amy.
Hi, Amy. Nice to meet you.
Okay, now we have a very important piece of business to conduct.
Can I just ask just for my own records here? So at this point, because I think are we, for the people who are absent, are we in between liaisons for, is Rabbi Greg Hershey's done now? No, he still is okay, so
No, he's done.
oh, he's done. Okay. But we haven't gotten appointed a new person.
No one, I keep asking and no one seems to know yet. I think it will be Reverend Matthew.
Okay.
I think he will be the one. I know I approached him when he first came to town last year and it was too soon. So Greg said he would do a year until he, got more accustomed to the town and his duties. We
And-
don't have a new student representative either yet.
Okay. And
Yeah.
sorry. And Pete Davis, is he still ours? Okay.
Yeah,
Ours.
I saw him this morning at
Okay.
another awards breakfast.
Okay.
For Catherine this morning was honored for her work because she's leaving town. She's leaving the Health and Human Services Department. And so she was honored this morning for her 10 years of service and all she's done for the students of Wakefield and for I want to get this right, the Wakefield United Prevention Coalition. It's the Wake Up, the student group.
Okay.
And
Oh, cool.
they're truly impressive group of people.
And this is my last item of just business. For Hun, are you have you sworn in? Are you commissioner or are you
I've sworn in. I have not completed the training yet, but I have sworn in.
how shall I list?
Commissioner-elect.
Okay, perfect.
Okay,
Very,
Commissioner-elect.
very official. All right, great. Those were my questions.
Okay. And of course, the very important official piece of business right now is that we need to elect new officers. And I'm going to make a motion that the slate include Jess as the president, Jill as the chair, Jill as the vice chair, and Hun as secretary. I have sat in all these positions, including treasurer over the years, and I will be here for the next 2 years backing everybody up, so you don't have to be nervous about it. But I'd like to make the motion that the slate include Jess Suchik as president, Jill Dimmitt as our vice chair, and Hun as our secretary.
So Sherry, in that you are have been here for the longest, I also don't know how all of this is to go to be the most official. I'm adding those motions, but then I think you'll have to walk us through what to do.
Okay. Is there a second?
I think for the secretary piece, I just want to understand what that role entails.
Okay. And it's a good one to learn because what you basically do is you take the meeting notes and you do just oversight. You don't have to do very much more than that of our email. In other words, you check it and see if there's anything that has to be responded to, because we will give you things that can be posted and sent out. I use it to send out messaging. So the other people on the committee can also send out messaging for the different programs that we have. But basically it's, you take the minutes, we bring them before this body when we have a quorum of the members and we vote, and then those minutes get submitted to town hall for the record.
And I've been doing it. I can give you all of the copies of minutes that we've got in the past, so you can kind of see the format. And I think my format might even be more detailed than needed. So feel free to use some of the minutes from other meetings as well, other organizations.
And the minutes are posted on our website, on the town website. So you don't even have to send it to her because she can see them there. And
I've looked at them.
okay,
So.
and I have, great. See, this is the kind of volunteer we need. And I have actually put together a sheet that is guidelines for taking minutes for the HRC, which I will share with you. I shared with Jess, I'll share with you.
And Jill, if you want to make any grand arguments or gestures to become the chair yourself, please speak now.
On the contrary, my question is, what does the vice chair do? Who was in that role this year?
Jeremy?
Okay.
Okay. The vice chair supports the chairperson. The vice chair, if the chair is not available, will run a meeting. The vice chair basically is second in charge if anything cannot be done and the chair needs assistance. When I was chair with Eileen, I helped her with a lot of things because I felt my role was to really make her job a little bit easier. So I did a bunch of small things for her over time and volunteered to help her. So it's between you and the chair to determine how much she needs you to support her, but it's a support role. And as I said, if the chair is not available, then you're in charge.
And one other question, just for until we get more members, since we are going to be down to just a few, I feel like we're going to be just kind of making it work for a bit.
Exactly.
for quorum, for figuring out, making sure that we're keeping to open meeting laws, but while still meeting and making things work. So, so I think, so in a way because right now we'll all be all the things because Jill is also the financial person right now until we get more people. We're just kind of, I think, making it work. Is that
I could take over the financial role because that really it isn't a lot of heavy lifting. It
okay?
used to be that the secretary treasurer was one position,
Yeah.
and we're veering way off of Robert's rules here, but that's okay. Was a separate position, but was the same position, but we separated them out so that there isn't as much to do for the treasurer.
Yeah.
And we've had in the past activist treasurers who was watching every nickel and dime. I think it's very important for us to have a general sense of how much we need for each program. Fortunately, Jill's predecessor worked really, really hard and we got an increase in our budget. And so we have much more funding than we used to have. Used to be we had $1,000. It was increased to $3,000. Then last year, I also got an $1,800 grant. So we didn't even use up all our money because people are very generous and did a lot of things for us for free. Yeah, even people who were going to invoice me didn't. Like Hun last year at the Asian program, the woman who did the henna, she had sent me an invoice. She said, tear it up. I loved your event. So, that nice things like that. But we do have fun. I'll be responsible for making sure the reports come in each month, taking a look at them, asking questions, and then sending it to the president.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay. So we need a second for the slate.
Can I
Can I
just
ask one more question? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Hun, and then I'll add something too.
Yeah, I just wanted to know for the emails, what is our turnaround time requirement? I just want to make sure that I understand, like, if we get emails in our mailbox, what's the turnaround to respond to those emails?
I will tell you that most of the stuff in your email is going to be announcements from other organizations about stuff they're doing.
Okay.
There isn't very much in terms of request. This year, we had a couple of people from the community, one person in particular who was very, very actively communicating with us by email, asking us to do things which we didn't feel necessarily within our purview, but we addressed them as best we could. So if you find that there's something like that comes in, you bring it before Jess or myself or Jill, and then of course we have Amy and Maureen, if she continues with us, their wisdom from their more official roles in the town to advise us on the best way to approach things. And I know that the particular there were a lot of things that had to do with flags this year, and I reached out to a whole bunch of other people to talk to them about that. Anyway, I actually, now we have to amend. I just realized if I'm gonna do the treasure report,
Yep.
okay. So we didn't even have a second. And
Okay.
then we don't
Well,
have an amendment.
So, yeah, before we say, I just want to be transparent that I'm not able to offer more time than what I have been this year. And you know, that might just be, we're smaller, and Les just said that might just be what we're working with at this point. And that is absolutely fine. I just want to be transparent about that. So like a shift in role wouldn't mean that I can offer more time than what I have been doing.
Well, your predecessor didn't volunteer to help out with things. So
So setting that as a precedent.
I don't want to
Well,
talk about it any further.
I think that's great. I think to take what Jess said about, you are a small and mighty group. We're going to repost the vacancies. I'm going to do some heavy recruiting. I'm going to go to some of my other counselors, and try to get people who have served before to kind of post about it. So we're going to try to get some more members, but I think that's for the group. You guys are small. And so to think about, I know you have your busy season coming up, but do we not do some stuff until we get more members? I think that's okay. This is volunteer. You are so appreciated for all that you do. We don't want anyone to feel like it's too much. So whatever you can give. And I think it's actually good having, a 3-person, and Sherry is still around and she has done all of this stuff for a while. And, Amy's around and I'm around, and they don't come to all the meetings, but you can always go to Steve Mayo or Doug Lyons, who are ex officio members. So yeah, I don't want that to impede everyone. And I think it's a good thing to think about of A, recruitment, and B, also like we all can give what we can give, and that's totally fine.
Exactly. I don't want anyone to be nervous about being over stressed, because realistically, we're all volunteers and we all have lives. And this is not the primary thing in our lives, even though sometimes my husband thinks it is. As I sit at the computer, he says, "What are you doing?" Oh, HRC stuff. So we have to second and amend that particular motion to include the fact that the treasurer responsibilities will be assumed by me, which I've done in the past. So I'll do it again. So I'm sitting in that's a repeat seat.
Okay.
So second, anyone?
I can second that.
Okay, Jill will second. Now, we've already had all this discussion out of order from Robert's rules, but we're pretty casual about it. I will make an amendment that the slate previously offered also include the seat of treasurer that Sherry Oken will fill. And do we have a second for that?
Second.
Okay. Now, Vanessa, you're allowed to vote because you're still a voting member. So Vanessa, Jess, Jill, and I are the only ones now, but actually,
I'm
you
allowed to
already
vote
you
today.
got sworn in. You can vote. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how do you vote, hon, for that motion?
I agree. Is there,
You just say, it has to be verbal. We don't just nod our heads. So say,
no, but do you say yes, or do you say I agree, or do you say, is there a certain term that you use?
you can say yes, you can say I approve. Like I said, we're very casual about Robert's rules. We try to follow it to some extent.
Right. Yeah. So I can say I approve then.
Okay, Jill,
Yes.
Jess,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
and I say yes. Okay, major order of business confirmed. We have a slate of officers for the coming year. And as just immediate past chair, I will pass on this information to Sherry Dalton and tell her the change in leadership. Okay, next a line of business because we're still operating on our prior chairmanships and financial. Is there anything, Jill, that you want to bring up on our financial?
Not really. I had it open. So, in our, within our budget, not the grant piece, but within our budget, we still have a little over 2,000, it looks like. So we haven't spent that much of it. So there's that. And then we have spent some of the grant money. Do you know when that, does
It's
that?
over. It's
Okay.
over. Yeah.
So,
I asked for reimbursements on all the major programs that I worked on.
mhm.
And the money in our general budget goes back to the town's budget, and then we get a refresh budget for the new fiscal year. Maureen, the date for the new fiscal year is June or July 1? Oops,
July 1.
July 1?
July 1. Yep.
Okay, so I will pay for our Juneteenth folks because I have an invoice out of this year's budget. And I also have some other expenses from, not much, but some from the Asian Pacific Islander, and I'll put that'll come out of this year's budget. And Jess, do you perceive expenses for
Right now,
Bride? Yeah.
if I'm going to order more giveaway stuff,
Mhm.
I'll have to see what is actually possible in the time frame that we've got. And so that might be an expense. And then beyond that, I think that everybody is I don't think that like we didn't have everybody's pretty volunteer right now. I reached out today just to see if we could have one just for one more thing just to see and I don't really right now and like I don't foresee any big expenses for it. Oh, Jill, the cook the
Yeah, so I submitted an invoice from Canderella's. They're
Yeah.
making us
Yep.
individually wrapped themed cookies and cake pops to put out, which I
Oh.
think will be really cute. And you know, I love that a local shop is connecting with us on this event. So I told her, you know, put your sticker on every single one of them. And so I submitted an invoice for that. I think it was about $200.
Okay, and Jess, do not hesitate to buy like pride flags and wristbands and things like that. We have plenty of stickers
Okay.
because they will not go bad and people take them throughout the
Mhm.
year whenever we put them out. So
Okay.
feel free, and because we have the money to spend this year, and who knows what's going to happen next year. We might have some huge thing that will take up the lion's share of the money. So as long as there's money in the budget this year, this is a good time to restock.
Okay.
So I did try to organize that big plastic bin so it makes sense. So when you get into that bin, you'll see what we have. Okay.
Sherry, if we could just, if we purchase things like that, we can submit for reimbursement. Is that right?
That's right. You
Yeah.
can submit for reimbursement. And I think we want to get this all done before the end of June, by
Yeah.
the middle of June, because that way, when they cut the checks, it will go in the 2023-24 budget year rather than in the 24-25 budget year. Okay, minutes. We can actually approve March and April minutes. First, I should ask if there's any additions or corrections. And I think it's Jill, myself, and Jess, and Vanessa. I think you even were on some of those minutes, who can vote on them, but anyone who saw them can make a comment or a correction or an addition. So is there anything in the March minutes that you'd like to see changed in any way before we vote to approve them and put them in the permanent record?
I saw Miss Brazil's name was spelled incorrectly.
Okay.
There's a E at the end of it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good catch. Thank you. If there is nothing else, I'm going to make a motion to accept our March minutes. Do I hear
Second that.
Jill seconds? Jill, are you in favor?
Yes.
I'm in favor. Sherry's in favor. Hun? Oh, you can't vote because you
I
weren't
ca-
there. You
I
weren't
went
at that
at the
meeting.
meeting.
You weren't at
Yeah.
that meeting. Jess, you were at that meeting. Do you vote in favor?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vanessa, were you at that March meeting?
Yeah, I believe I was.
Okay, so do you vote in favor?
Yes.
Okay, it's unanimous. The March meeting minutes are approved. Now, April meeting minutes, boy, we're catching up. We had operated, I should give this as a little background for Hun. We had operated under the misconception, and this was reinforced by actually people in town hall, that we had to have a quorum based on the total number of possible commissioners, which meant that we always had to have 6 commissioners, voting commissioners present in order to vote on our minutes. Last year, at the highest point, we had 8 commissioners. And so we had minutes that languished for months and months and months. Then I found out the folks who advised me corrected and said, no, the quorum can be the majority of the actual sitting commissioners. So if we have 6, then it has to be 4. And that's makes it a lot easier to approve our minutes. Okay, moving on to April minutes. I know I sent you one small change, Jess, and I'm sorry. You know, the reason why I asked you for them is I realized being anal about organization, I opened a new file for 24-25, and that's where I put the April minutes. That's why I couldn't find them, because I forgot that I did that in advance. So thank you for sending them again. I had sent her one small correction. And is there anyone else who has additions or corrections to those April minutes? And I know, Amy, you were there, so if you saw anything, please speak up as well. Okay, there being no additions or corrections, do I have a motion to approve the April minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Jill, how do you vote?
Yes.
Sherry votes yes. Vanessa?
Yes.
Jess?
Yes.
Okay, we are now up to date with approved minutes. Thank you. Okay. Oh, I wrote myself notes here and now I'm trying to see. Oh, okay. Oh, the resources. Jess and I have tried all year long, and I have been collecting so much information. And I got even more today because I went to that awards breakfast. What we're trying to do is put together a comprehensive file of resources that we could recommend to people if they come to us with particular challenges or issues that we might not directly respond to, but we want to make sure they get some help. So we've been putting this together, and Jess and I have talked today, and we're gonna continue to work on this and try to get it up to date so that it can be a shared file that if anything comes up, we can all tap into it and we can all add to it when we meet people. Like, for instance, Catherine Dingra is now not part of Health and Human Services. So we have to change that. I talked to Jason Stone today, who I believe is going to be taking over a lot of her responsibilities. Good guy. He's been around for years. Amy Chiravelli will continue in her role. So there's some wonderful people there. They'll probably hire someone new. And those are the kinds of people in town, and the people from WAVE, and just anyone we can talk to who deals with issues that may not be directly in our ballpark that relate to helping people, because that's what human rights is about, is making sure people are protected and have their rights and are helped and understood and treated with civility. So we'll continue to do that work. Is there anything else under operations anyone would like to mention before we talk about activities? Jess is typing away like crazy.
Yeah. Nothing really. I mean, I am along with that. For resources, I'm trying to we have the shared drive, and I'm trying to keep it or add to it, but I have a folder of things to do for organizational stuff, but it's all there and it's possible. It's just getting a moment to sit down and do it. So
And to use a pretty overused word, this is an aspirational thing that we would have something comprehensive. Just like years ago, it was aspirational that we'd have someplace to store our materials other than in people's basements. And we do. We have town hall will store. And the other day, and this is part of operations, while I was in town hall, I met a young man named James Iuso, who said to me, don't call anyone else. Just call me. Here's my cell phone number. Anytime you need to pick up or drop off things that are stored for the HRC in town hall. So now we have somebody who actually is the person who carries things to your car helping us out. And I gave his number to Jess, and I will share it with the others, because over the course of the year, if you find that you have to take something out of storage for something that you're doing for us, you'll be able to get to it. Okay, that's a little operations issue. Activities.
I think Amy has her hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see that. Oh, hi
No.
there. Yes.
I just wanted to let you know I emailed you a palm card that Wave puts out in a lot of the bathrooms at hair salons around town, and it
Oh.
has like domestic violence resources, but like rape crisis center resources, substance
Oh.
abuse resources, mental health resources, suicide resources. So we updated that last, it was maybe 4 years ago. I think it's still pretty up to date. We're going to go through it soon, but I just emailed that to you for just numbers and names of places. So
I think I have a copy of that, actually.
you might.
I think I got it from Catherine. Okay, it has excellent resources. Plus, anytime we do things like Farmers Market or Wakefield 101, we meet people from other organizations and we make those contacts. And the goal also not only is to have resources we can share with people in town, but to have people from other organizations that we can work with. So we don't have to do everything ourselves. Like, for instance, the reason when I met Catherine Dingra, she stepped right in and helped us with International Women's Day. And she today said to me, I will definitely do that again next year. Now, if I can only convince her to maybe officially apply as a commissioner, that would be fantastic, because she's going to be moving over to Melrose to a different position. But she lives here. She lives right in Wakefield. Okay, activities. So APAH this month has been running a mini film festival, as you all know. It was kicked off, and I'm going to let Hun talk about this because she was there, with a lion dance at the beginning of the month. Hun?
Yeah, so the lion dance was on a Saturday in front of the library. And so we actually had a lot of people come by, drop by, be present. I think there were probably around 40 to 50 people at the event. We had, you know, the team that actually performed the lion dance. It was very, it was loud and festive and very positive, I think. And we encouraged the guests to come and try out the costumes and touch the materials. And we gave out like different coins and information, and I think some oranges, because that's part of like the festivities. But I think people
No
were very
lettuce?
excited. And there was some lettuce that was shredded, right, as part of the lion dance.
Yeah.
But I think people were very excited, and we also had people who were driving by or walking by, pull over and stop and like come and be part of the event. So I think it was very exciting. It's right there in the center of town, so that's always a positive thing. And just having the awareness and interest in a culture that is not typically, present as present in Wakefield.
And building on that, we've put together a 4-film miniseries. Last week, we showed Whale Rider, which is about Maori culture. And a lot of people don't realize that New Zealand is, it's a Pacific Island nation, and it's part of the APAH month celebration. It was an excellent movie, a dramatic movie. There were moments of humor, but it was really quite a serious movie. and rather a feministic movie too, for that matter. This week we are showing something called Bollywood. Oh no, then on Saturday we had an anime movie, and it was my first experience with anime. That is weird stuff, I gotta tell you. It was really quite interesting, and at each of these events we give out popcorn. I bought lots of popcorn and I made smaller bags, and I bought a bunch of bags from Amazon, and I have my whole house smells like a movie theater, as does my car. And this week we're showing Bollywood Beats, which is a focus on Indian culture, but in LA, how it's been transported and transplanted to the, and this should be a really, really lively, very entertaining, music, dance, colorful film. The last film we're showing on the 30th, I'm most excited about. It's called Tehran Blues. I don't think most of us know much about Iran because Iran is a very closed culture and country. But this particular movie reveals the human side, people's talents. They tell their stories. And I'm really looking forward to that one. Really, it's something different. And the whole point was to try to get representation from as far east and as far west and south of Asia as we could, because there's 48 nations plus the Pacific Islands, and we wanted to make sure we had a wide representation. We are Zooming the major movies just in case people can't show up at WCAT with the big screen with stereo sound, which is fantastic. It's much better than watching it at home. So if you cannot get there, tune in to the Zoom. And we did that especially in consideration of a lot of the more senior members of our community, because this is a big thing right now. The Council on Aging and the Health and Human Services is trying to address issues of loneliness and isolation. And if people have internet connections, this way they can feel like they're part of activities going on in town if they can't get out in the evening, because it's evening movies, except the anime that was in the afternoon. So I hope you'll join us. June is
Do
big.
you guys also promote it through the senior center? Because I know a lot of people receive like the newsletter in the mail.
I promoted it at both Stoneham and Wakefield. And I put it out to every PTO leader, to all the principals, the vice principals, the Chamber of Commerce, Patch. And even this week, I put out, this week's movie is on Patch, and I sent it to the item. I don't know if it covered it. I hope it did. And I know last week they did a nice feature on us. And then next week, again on Monday, I'll say for our final movie and invite people again and tell them what it is, and hope that people will participate. It's disappointing if you put effort into things and people don't participate, but we tried and they know that we're trying. And that's what counts, that we're trying. Now, big events in June, these are popular. Jess, you want to talk a little bit? And Jill's working with you on the Pride event.
Yep. Jill and I are working on Pride for the progress flag raising. It will be June 3rd at 6 p.m. We've got the music group confirmed from the high school, Voices of Steel. We have some speakers lined up and someone from Nagley. Jill, do you have anybody else for, the only thing that I'm kind of working on now is, we have several people from town council and state reps, but I was wondering if we had any other art piece.
The piece that I was looking into was, I think it was a student from the GSA. And I was given a name of a student who said they were interested, and I emailed them and didn't hear back. So that I will follow up with them tomorrow.
Yeah.
And hope, that we could include something along those lines.
Yeah, that would be great. I reached out to somebody from For Your Arts. No, Follow Your Arts. Yes. Which is in Melrose, but they do some writers in residence and they do some storytelling just to see if they knew anybody who might be a fit. And I will be at the Grants Award ceremony at the Albion Cultural Exchange for the Arts Council tomorrow. So I'm just gonna keep my ears open to see, because it's the only thing that that I feel like would be nice to just have one more sort of like artistic expression element. It's not, I will not die on this hill, but otherwise, but
Would it be
otherwise,
worth posting on our Facebook?
Oh, send it to me, please. Send me some, I'll post it for you.
yeah, that would be great. Yeah, I think post on Facebook. I've posted in the patch. I worked with Jen to get posters up um and to do the digital display and um
And in fact, Jess, what you send me, I will, we have a distribution list, our email distribution list.
yep.
And if whatever you send me, I can just BCC 150, 200 people.
Yeah, let's do that,
And
because
I'll send out information directly to them, because that's what I promise them whenever we put out the sign up list and they say,
Okay.
well, what is this? I say, if you want to hear from us directly, rather than having to search for this information, put your name here and we will add you. And every time we send out an announcement, and actually I sent out lots of encouragement for people to join HRC as well over time. And I spoke to people, but they didn't, except for Han, didn't up to now.
Yeah. But so I will put something together to send out, so we can kind of just do a broad email, and also to the town council and to just the formal. I feel like
Yes.
I've spoken to everybody in town council at this point.
Oh, yeah.
But I just to send out a formal, formal invite to let people know the when and the where. And I talked to WCAT. I just got to finalize with them the list of people and whatever they will need from us. I happened to run into Barbara Worley.
Mhm.
I ran into her. She's on the board of the Odyssey School where my kid goes. So I ran into her at a fundraiser. And so I'll just reach out. So now it's I think we're at loose ends. And yeah, so it should be
And
a
we
nice.
have I think several peace flags left, right? So we can
Mhm.
Oh, we have a
put those out.
box.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll
Except
put those out.
Yeah,
We'll
I thought I was giving Jess a whole box, but what I ended up grabbing when I looked inside the box was a box that had 4 peace flags and a bunch of cups and napkins from another event. So I'll go to town hall, I'll call James up and pick up that other bag, because I volunteered to stand at the HRC table.
To that end, do we have a table, like an actual physical?
We don't own one, no.
I don't have one. Jill, do you have one?
Not one that we could transport. I wonder if we could reach out to Dan McGrath and see if we could pull one from the
Yep,
Civic
I'll
Center.
see if Dan has anything that we can use, and
Mhm.
Oh,
and
they have loads of folding tables.
yep,
Yeah.
I'll talk to Dan to just get somebody to bring a folding table out
All right,
then.
because we've got those flags. We can order some more of the stickers and pins and things like that. We've got the cupcakes and cake pops. And then I also asked the library if I assumed they were doing this anyway, and it seemed they were. They put together a flyer of a whole bunch of LGBTQ titles that they have at the library. And it's a really nice, colorful flyer. So I'll just make several printouts and, folks can take those. I wonder if, did you say Nagley is coming?
Yeah.
If they might have printouts that people can take.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering if there's anything else along those lines that.
we can reach out to, it's Tony, it might be Tony Leone. I'm not sure how to say his last name. I keep saying Tony Leone because I like things that rhyme.
Yeah.
But he was very prompt in, or they were very prompt in responding. So I'll just reach out to see what they plan to bring, and just to organize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it's nothing, that's okay. I'm just wondering if there's anything that we
think
would
they'll-
want to disperse in terms of education.
I think they had a table when they came last year. That's the perception I
so
got from
too.
Eileen. So I
Yeah.
think he'll probably come with the same set of things.
Yeah.
So that's what my expectation is.
Mhm.
But I can confirm just to make sure everybody is also confirmed and all set to go.
And I had a fresh bunch of our brochures printed up because so many were taken. Martin Luther King event. Um, many of those brochures went out the door, which was terrific. People were interested in reading about us. So I made another 50, a stack of 50 brochures, which Jess has. So like I said, I am very happy to staff that table and talk to people, and it will give you a place to put the cookies and the pops too.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I'll reach out to, I'll add to my list, reach out to Dan about a table to make sure that's all set to do.
Now, the Juneteenth is far simpler. One thing everyone should know is that the town feels it's very important that the flag goes up on Juneteenth. So the flag will go up on the 19th. Our commemoration is the next day on Thursday, which means all the people who are in Books by the Lake, Maureen and everybody else will not miss our June potluck dinner and discussion because we won't be at the Juneteenth. So I have already contracted with the people from North Shore Juneteenth. They provide everything. Poets, singers, spoken word, even an honor guard. The only thing I still need to find out, well, I don't have, she hasn't given me this final clean list of everyone, but I've already done a poster that I sent to her today to take a look at. I've approached Barbara and that crew about whether or not they could cover it for CAT because boy, they are busy. They're wonderful, but they are so booked up. And the only other loose end is I have to find out if on the day the flag is going to come down so we can raise it again during the commemoration. But otherwise, this one's not a heavy lift because, as I said, we pay North Shore Juneteenth, and Nicole has all the connections and makes sure that she brings people that I remember last year. Everything was so moving. I mean, the poetry. I mean, unfortunately, we don't have anyone local right now because there is no Black Student Union at this point in Wakefield, and it's graduation month. So if we had that kind of connection, we would bring in students as well. But she'll bring in people who will tell true tales, and it's always very emotional, and it's a wonderful event. And considering that we are not an extremely diverse community, hats off to Wakefield for doing this and for making sure that we can use the flagpole, which is great.
I was wondering if we have like a surplus of funds still left in our account by the end of the year, should we use that money to donate to some of the groups that are supporting us or increase the
We
amount of
can't,
Not
we
allowed
can't
to.
do donations.
could we just like pay them more for their services?
Well, what services would be offered? It would have to be something invoiced if that was the case.
Like the you said the group that's bringing like spoken word and poetry.
Oh, we're paying them. We are,
Yeah, that's why I
I
was
don't think we
wondering.
can, I don't think we can have them charge more than their regular rates.
no, we can't. They have a set rate that they charge and they bring the talent for and the special people for an hour.
Mm.
Um,
Or like in the future, like I know you mentioned like the henna artist that we had last year, like she ended up changing her mind. Like I feel like it would be great to still be able to support them financially since, they're really important to putting on the events.
yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. We can't make donations. It has to be for something that we actually receive. Because we wanted to make a donation to even to WCAT and we were told we couldn't. And they do so much for us. So we're not, and Maureen can back us up on this because she
But
works.
yeah, but Vanessa's right because we did a couple years ago we had this discussion when people are sharing their personal stories and taking their time that we should compensate them, and so we do that. So the artists to come, they will get paid through Juneteenth. We just can't give to Juneteenth just as the North Shore Juneteenth Association, but we made a cognizant. The HRC made like a cognizant decision that, we should offer people who are sharing their truths and telling their story, and helping us out with our events, they should be compensated for that. Sometimes they don't accept it, as as Sherry talked about, but we do. We made a conscious decision, and that's why we have money in the budget to make that offer. It's not nobody's, it's a small contribution. But again, I feel really strongly that if someone is sharing their story or sharing their skills with us, then we should recognize that in some way.
Yeah, I know last year during the Asian Pacific Islander, we gave out honorariums to whoever would take it. But International Women's Day, none of the panelists who were local, they all said, no, absolutely not. We're happy to do this. So we do what we can. Usually the big budget items are things like if we bring in musical entertainment, like we've done for Hispanic Heritage. And one year during Pride Month, we had a musician who sang, and we had signed ASL interpreters while she was singing. That's where the big money ends up being spent on our budget. But otherwise, it tends to be smaller things. And like I said, we would have loved to have made a donation to WCAT because they are just so wonderful, but we cannot do that. We're not allowed.
Sure. Do you have the invoice for Juneteenth at this point, or do you
Yes, I
know when
do.
you? Oh,
It's
good.
fine.
Okay, so you
Yeah,
could just
yeah, I
submit
have
that
it.
now. Yeah.
The question with that is, I usually don't pay invoices until after services are rendered. But if I wait until June 13th, well, I'll put it in June. Because I'm sure they'll come through. They've come through every year before this. Now we're winding down for the evening, and I'm winding down my chairmanship. The one
I
last
think
thing I wanted
Amy
to tell
has
you.
her hand raised
Oh,
again,
again,
Sherry.
great. Okay, Amy, I'm sorry, I'm not looking. And
No,
it's a
that's
big yellow hand. I can see it.
Wave had WCAT would help Wave frequently, and we also talked about making a donation, but we can as a group take donations, and they're supposed to go towards victims of domestic violence. So to make things look better, because we did feel we should compensate WCAT for their services, and they were needing funding at the time, we actually requested that they bill us quarterly. So if that you can, again, this is a town body, whereas Wave is a nonprofit, so I don't know if WCAT just offers free services for all
It
town.
is. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Then
just like the AmeriCall, it's free.
okay.
For town
Very good.
services. At the same time, last year, with the Lion Dancers, I offered, because there were times that they needed to rehearse at the AmeriCall and we couldn't do it for free under our aegis. And I said, well, we will help you rehearse and we'll pay the $75 room fee for you. But it never came to be. So we offer, but it doesn't always happen.
Yeah,
It's
I know
not,
for
we don't
some of
want
the
to help
other,
people. We try.
yeah, I know. I just know also for some of the other events you mentioned, I'm trying to kind of ask them like what their price is and have them, dwindle it down a little bit so it's more affordable for us. But if it seems like we keep going under budget, in the future, maybe it would be helpful if we just paid them at the full price that they're asking.
Well,
That's just
actually,
my only thing.
the reason we went under budget is because one of the big budget items, Hispanic Heritage, did not happen last year. And I got a grant. We would have spent the money if I hadn't used the grant, but I used the grant first because there's one other thing that we will be doing, and that is that we traditionally have a table at the farmer's market. And what we usually do, because it's several hours, is we each pitch in for an hour and a half, standing at the table during the farmer's market. I will arrange dates for us. Jeremy was going to, but he never did, and he didn't respond to me. So I'm going to be the one who's going to contact the farmer's market and find a date. And I assume at this point, the earliest, last year our date was too late and it was a miserable, rainy, stormy day. We just closed up shop. It was so horrible out. And even the vendors, I felt so bad. They just closed up. And it was the last day of the farmer's market. We are not doing that. The last day is not the best day to be at the farmer's market. We're going to try to have something August or it's September at the latest. It's a Saturday. And again, each of us usually gives an hour or so of our time. Sometimes we can do it in pairs if we have enough people. Sometimes we do it individually. So that's the one and only thing maybe coming up this summer. That, and hopefully we will have a storyteller for Indigenous people who will be able to storytell at the Albion. That's what we wanted to do last year, and it didn't come to fruition either, which is another thing we would have spent money on to pay someone to come in and do storytelling for us.
Yeah, to some extent, it's I feel like um, it's because we're a bit light on folks that it's been a
Yes.
bit of a strange year. But I think that in general, going forward, we'll have more. I do always agree. I mean, I've done far more things for no money than I've done for money as an artist, and writer and comedian. So I think that, we can always keep an eye on that and see where we are in the year, and make sure that we give people, I think, as much as we can, especially if we find ourselves flush in June. But
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the cake pop and cookie idea that Jill had was really good, and even spending more money on other like food things that we could have and having them put their label on it, like Jill said, or even having it at the Juneteenth event. Since I know it is kind of a unique year, but if we do end up having any extra funds, I think it would be great to support local businesses with it.
yeah.
And I just want to say, I don't know if any of you saw the town report, the booklet they print every single year about all what everyone, and I guess no one had put anything in before. So this year, as chair, I said, well, I'll do it. And they published it. And considering, like I said, we were a little light on personnel, we did a lot. And I thank you, and I can, for all your support and hard work, um, and I look forward to the year ahead, not being chair, but working hard in the background on all of these different things. And I'd like to make a motion to adjourn at 8:03 p.m. if no one else has anything, matters not anticipated, or, oh, I just realized, Jill, I'm sorry. We did have a matter not anticipated I should bring to everyone's attention. Counselor Bob Vincent has approached me months ago about whether or not we'd like to be involved with the renovation of the memorial on the is it considered the upper common, the lower common, the tall memorial, the war memorial, and I asked him if he could somehow tell me what the connection would be between HRC and this renovation. And he really couldn't. And then he said, there was a woman who gave a lot of money to make it happen. And she was one of like the founding mothers of Wakefield in terms of her support. And I said, that's what we'll do. I said, for International Women's Day, we will make sure in this coming year, because that's when they're going to be dedicating the memorial. They're going to rededicate the monument. I said, we will make sure that people are well aware of that particular woman and any other prominent woman from Wakefield's past. But then he said, oh, I love that. That's great. But then he sent Jill an email asking if any of us wanted to come to their meetings on renovating this monument. I think we have other things that are within our mission that we need to take care of before we take on someone else's particular work and mission. Unless one of you is really, really interested in going to these meetings, because Jill can send you information, put you in touch with Bob Vincent. I think it's not quite within our mission, and we have a lot to do with just a few hands.
I'm gonna bring something up just because I'm not sure if this is part of it or not, but a lot of times sometimes we may get asked for things because there is a influence that could, that we may want to provide input on. So let's say if you have, is it like a Korean American War memorial or something like, is that something that they would is that part of it, that they would just want to make sure that there is some sort of review or checks or balances that are going on
No,
in regards
this
to
is a
the
very
memorial?
generic memorial that's been there for ages. Does not represent any particular ethnic group. So it's not it's not really a human rights thing. It's just a respect for those who gave service in the past. And the monument was falling apart, and the rededication is because they have actually had enough money to fix it up, because it sits right there in a very prominent place. It's that very tall monument. I know we have other monuments, but they're monuments to those who served in war rather than to a particular ethnic or group or religious group or specific heritage group. Because it's the town common and it tends to stay a little more neutral.
Well, I would say at this point, if he comes up with anything specific that he would like from us, or any input or any thoughts or anything, to just keep in touch. I believe that he is also a neighbor that you might see. So I'm sure, we're here and like to build bridges between all of the different groups.
Right.
I think that's really his main goal. He
Yeah.
said he also is inviting folks from school committee and town council, and I think he's intentionally trying to get representation from different groups in town. And whether or not it directly matches HRC, I'm not, I don't
Yeah.
necessarily think it does, but the first meeting that he sent me was May 30th at 3:30. So
Memorial
I'm
Day
sure
weekend. Yeah, just before
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah. So I'm sure they're interested in including as many people as want to be included. And I don't necessarily think we need to feel responsible for going, but I think it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I want to do a shout out for Bob Vincent, because he was instrumental in making sure that we were able to hang both the Pride flag and the Juneteenth flag, and he kept us very, very informed. He's been, terrific. And he also is very involved with WAVE. So we have a, kind of a crossover with that. And last year, actually, for I don't remember if it's Juneteenth or Pride, he had a little table set up on the steps of the AmeriHall with information about WAVE.
Yeah, isn't he one of the Oh, I don't have Wakefield history. I'm not going to try and have Wakefield history at 8:09.
I'm so sorry. I do need to sign off. I'm so sorry,
Yes,
folks.
And you know that I like to keep our meetings to an hour. I hope Jess will keep
Yes.
to the same. Thank you all so very much. I look forward to not running the next meeting and having Jess run it for us.
Oh, to that end, a motion to adjourn at
Second.
8:09.
Second,
Great. I'll approve. I approve.
Yep.
approved.
Great.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. We did it,
Thanks,
everyone.
Good
Bye.
night.
Thanks. Night.